The disease to please.
Right.
The disease to please.
The dis-ease, right?
I feel like we're talking about this because I've had a few questions. I had a few of my friends, even those who have been leading in this season, teenagers, were dealing with people pleasing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things I think we don't know in the moment it's happening until someone exposes it, or it happens the hard way when someone exposes it and it's a friend that you highly respect.
Yeah.
And they recognize you're trying to please them, and it's like, bro, why are you acting weird? Like,
Yeah. I think it's an attempt to be liked, to fit in,
Yeah.
to not be awkward, to not be disliked.
Yeah,
So
Brian is very aware about the diseases that we, I'm sure we've caught along the way. We have allowed in
Yeah.
our bodies through our diet and all the things.
yeah, disease is a overused term, right? It's a word that we apply to a lot of things that we really shouldn't. Diseases are rare in the sense that it's something you're born with.
Yeah.
We cause them. The same with being, uneasy in a conversation or an environment or a relationship.
We cause them? What do you mean by
Most
that?
of us cause them. The things that we call diseases are symptoms to something that we did to ourselves. A true disease is an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
Autoimmune meaning you were born with it.
Okay.
Right? And it's not many diseases. There's a handful of diseases that you're actually born with. The majority of us
Yeah.
are born healthy and whole.
Autoimmune to it.
Autoimmune.
Interesting.
You were born with it, right?
Do you think this disease to please is something we were born with?
It was something we were born into. No, seriously, because a lot of us are operating on autopilot. It's the subconscious,
We
mindset.
operate more in the subconscious than the conscious.
Yeah. It's all conditioning. The attitude that I have, my perception of myself or who I am.
Yeah.
I would probably say from the age of 0 to about 25, maybe even 30, has to do with the environment that I was raised in.
Okay.
Who had an influence on me.
Yeah.
And that's the majority of us. I like to say we go through phases. We're born from about 0 to 25, 0 to 30.
Yeah.
And we're learning how to survive and operate in the environment. So we're learning the environment.
Okay.
We're learning the world around us, right?
That's our normalcy.
That's normalcy. That's everybody. And then there should be an awakening to where you realize, okay,
Yeah.
I know how to operate in this environment, but how do I overcome this environment? Is there something bigger and greater than this environment? So you learn, right? And then you have to unlearn, because there's a lot of things that you really don't need to know or things you don't need to do.
Yeah.
A lot of personalities that you don't need to have and probably shouldn't have, right?
Right.
Then you have to unlearn that and relearn to overcome the environment. But that's a gift to know that. A lot of us don't know that,
A lot of us don't even know how to do it.
It's just who I am. It's just how I am. It's just how I act. You know what I mean? Like, if you're expecting me to be somebody different, I feel sorry for you, right? Like,
Wow.
that's the attitude that we carry around.
So do you think people pleasing, and I'm just trying to think, who was the first person that was like trying to people please, that created this type of, action disease? I don't know. What would you call this?
No, so Sigmund Freud did this study where he said that we go through three phases in adolescence, and the first person that we're trying to please, especially as males, it's our mom. It's our mom. The first person that
Mama's
we're trying to,
boy.
and our first adversary is our fathers, because we see him as competition.
You know what? I'm actually going through that right now with my son. I had a really interesting conversation with my wife. She told me, this happened last night, y'all. This is real time. Last night.
Yeah.
She was with Silas and was having this conversation with him, saying, or asking him questions like, why is it that you always want to come to mommy? Like, just why? What's the cause of this? And this is how amazing my wife is. She's so intentional. Like, she'll be very intentional with her questions and would help Silas with his emotional development. And this is his answer. He notices how drawn to or how close I am to his sister. Because he was seeing the way I was treating his sister, he was like, well, if you're doing that with Lomani,
Yeah.
I'll have this with my mum.
Wow.
So it's kind of compartmentalizing
Yeah.
his love.
Yeah.
And Morgan was coaching, teaching him how to love and expand that love.
How awesome is that? That you as a parent and Morgan as a great parents, that you all see this happening right now in your 3 and 4 year old children.
Yeah, he's 4.
Right? there are a lot of us that are 40 and 50 and still dealing with 3 and 4-year-old problems.
We literally said that last night.
Like
We'll talk about that.
We're suffering from our 3 and 4-year-old problems.
And I think that goes back to this. We talk about disease to please. It was learned. Now we've got to learn how to unlearn
Yeah.
and relearn.
Yeah. And what I stated in the beginning about the learning process, it's very necessary, right?
It is.
Like it's very necessary to learn how to adapt to the environment that you're in, to get along, right? To be able to achieve success,
Yeah.
whatever level of happiness that you can achieve in the environment, right?
Right.
You don't want to walk around in opposition to the environment and opposition to the people that you do life with, right? You want to progress this ladder of happiness and peace and joy, but you want to overcome that as well, right? Because you want to live in your uniqueness,
Yeah.
right? Your purpose, your design, your reason for being.
Is that self-sabotaging
It's self-sabotaging if you stay
if you stay?
stay in a place of pleasing others as opposed to achieving. I mean, you said this yourself, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly
ahead.
how you said
Yeah.
it. I would probably need you to say it to make it clear. If you're going to do anything great, you're going to be criticized.
Essentially, if you do nothing, you say nothing, and be nothing, you'll never be criticized. So being criticized is part of the process of becoming great.
Yeah.
So it's like, and we had a very interesting conversation about this because we have people have channels literally born out of criticism. They'll find someone, they'll target someone that's doing great things, like gaining all these resources, and they will create a channel just to criticize them.
Yeah.
Now, I get it. There are some people with bad character and bad intentions, but there are some that are actually doing great things.
Yeah, it's very unnecessary to criticize those who are doing good, right?
Yeah.
It's a very unnecessary evil that exists, right? A lot of us don't even know who we are personally, right? There is
Better say it, man.
there is as much difference inside of me and myself, right? Like this internal conflict of who I am, who I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be, and who I should be.
Yeah.
There's that battle going on inside of me just as much as there's that battle of how different than I am than you.
Yes, you said it was stemming from, especially men, those who are watching right now, from our mother who was cultivating greatness in us at the time, nurturing us, and it was a great feeling. And having those great feelings, you want to share that great feeling to the people that are doing this, doing this for you. Yeah. And I think the transitional period, which is the question that my wife was asking my son at the time, is asking these questions so that they're able to process at that age, at 4 or 3, introducing these new concepts to them at an early age. And this is, I think, the difference maker that we're making with our school, is we're introducing certain things to them at an early age, but we're explaining it to them at their level, but also like challenging them with that productive struggle. It's a productive struggle, like they're trying to process. And it's a struggle because they're still trying to grasp it, but it's productive because they're growing in their neurons and in their growth and their development in their brains. Yeah.
It's a stretching.
It is.
Just like the physical body, the mental, the social, the intellectual,
Yeah.
it's a stretch. I always tell parents or parents to be, question your children, beyond their level.
Yeah.
Right? Because we dumb our children down a lot.
Man.
We try to meet them at their level.
Yeah.
And as parents, it's our job to
raise them up,
to raise up their level, their level of intellect and consciousness.
And I think that disease to please will stretch some of our audiences, will stretch us, because it's comfortable in the moment when you're pleasing someone because you're so used to it. Yeah. And then the moment where you realize, wait, I'm self-sabotaging, I'm saying yes to too many things now.
Yeah.
And it's actually not hurting me, it's hurting my family, it's hurting my kids. Referring to disease to please, what if we are pleasing ourselves in the process of allowing these diseases to come through? Because I know we want to feel good. I know we talked about this. Why are we not happy? Why certain chemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, all these different things, right? Yeah. But there is a disease, causing disease, of us pleasing ourselves, and that could be so many different things. Food could be one of them, even just being in the wrong environment. Yeah. So I'm saying this to say we're in this epidemic of feeling better. Exactly. And I know why. I think I know why. Okay. This is my theory. We go to work where we don't want to work, and then we just want a mind-numbing process just to, like, feel better.
I think we're striving for comfort,
Comfort, yeah.
for comfort.
Which makes sense. It's not a bad thing. Like being comfortable at certain times, yeah.
So here's an analogy, right? So if I go to the gym and, bench pressing, I'm just giving an example. Let's say 100 pounds is comfortable for me. That feels good. I feel like I'm getting a good stretch. I feel like I'm being effective and efficient with my time, right? But for someone who's never been, 100's not comfortable, right?
How are we going with this? Yeah.
Right? So folks who are used to living in a sense of urgency, struggle,
Yeah.
lack of dependency, right? Like they're used to living in that. That's
Yeah.
how they were raised. That's how they were brought up.
Yeah.
And they've taken that into adulthood.
Yeah.
Most folks will call that self-sabotage, right? It's like, why do you want to be in that struggle? Why do you want?
Yeah.
But that's comfort. That's what they know.
I love where you're going with this, because with the disease to please and some of the things that I saw here, the disease to please, some of the factors that we need to like be aware of or even reflect on is through this process is affirmation, approval, acceptance, anxiety.
Okay.
Affirmations, approval, acceptance, anxiety. Part of the affirmation piece here, it says, when your sense of worth comes from affirming words and tokens from peers and superiors. Now, I understand the level of professionalism that we do need to approach our work with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, I'm constantly being given feedback by my sergeants, my lieutenants, yada, yada. So I'm thinking, okay, well, there is this nuance to it because I am trying to perform better.
Yeah.
But where do we draw the line when you're it's always performance-based, but then you're self-sabotaging in these moments? Now you're compromising everything. I've heard someone say this. Actually, this was the company I used to work with. Clear is kind. Have you heard of that? Clear is kind. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that before.
Yeah.
Clear is kind. I would remind a lot of young men in some of the conversations we would have having coffee. I said, if you're not clear about your destiny, life's not going to be kind to you.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to say yes to everything. And you are finite.
Yeah.
You're not infinite, thinking like, wow, there is a nuance to it. There's a time where like, yes, I'm going to outperform, do the great things in life, but I'm also destined to do this though, because that's my unique ability. This is the path that I'm supposed to be on.
Yeah, it goes back to self-actualization. We're looking at that pyramid, right?
Yes.
We're going from the bottom to the top. Right in the middle, affirmations exist there. Like you should be getting that as an adolescent, right? That way, when you become an adult, you're not craving it.
Yeah.
Right? When we become an adult, and
interesting.
if we didn't get the things that we needed early in life,
Oh, wow.
we hunger for them.
You're exposing some things.
Yeah, the spirit hunger for those things, right? But if you receive them when you should have received them,
Wow.
you're filled up. Hey, I have enough. I don't get my affirmations. I don't get my self-worth, my self-esteem from the world.
Yeah.
Because that's who I am. I go out into the world and I get what I deserve. I get what's due to me.
So you're
Right.
saying that a lot of our people-pleasing issues is it's a craving.
It's a craving.
A craving, a
It's-
void that's there. That
It's a
hasn't been
void.
filled yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like
Wow.
knowing your worth,
Yeah.
your value is a given. Like you should have that. You should know what that is.
Yeah.
Right? And as parents or guardians of children and adolescents, it's our job to fulfill that void.
And I think this is where, making it very practical here, I myself journal a lot. Like I'm a journaler, and I never used to be honest with you. I didn't see the
Same here, man.
I didn't see the value in it until now.
Yeah.
Like recently, about the last 4 or 5 years now.
Same here.
And I thought to myself, well, if I'm not journaling and also reflecting over my goals, my dreams, the things that I want to leave here, or want to influence, positive influence when I leave, and I have this eulogy where in my funeral and everyone's talking about me,
What's going to be said?
what are they going to talk about?
What's going to be said?
If they say nothing, I've done nothing.
Yeah.
And we literally just talked about this. If you don't listen, you'll feel. And I'll even shift it even further. If you don't learn, you'll burn. If people are talking about you and vouching for you in a good light,
Yeah.
what they learn from you, you help them earn.
Yeah.
But you've also earned some respect.
Yeah. What I've learned is you don't have to, people say things like, you need to earn my respect. Right? But I think earning respect from others come from self-respect, from respecting yourself. right?
Yes.
The disciplines and the sacrifices that people don't see are the things that will be talked about in public, right?
Yeah, it's good, man.
You know, through my personal journey,
It's reciprocating.
through my personal journey of self-sacrificing, getting up early in the morning and reading and studying and working out,
Doing this.
and doing this, and just going about self-development and self-improvement,
Self-discovery.
you find out that people are like, hey, Mom, I was having a conversation with such and such, and your name came up. It's like, oh, did it? Why? You know? But you get those things when you put your head down and you grind and you work on development, self-growth and improvement.
Yeah.
Things are being said about you in rooms that you don't even know about.
Wow.
Right? But too often we're concerned about what's being said
People
people pleasing and not concerned about what we should be doing or even could be doing.
And I think the disease enters in this weird, like, phony, weird way that people don't really recognize until you expose this thing, disease to please. Like, I think about affirmations, the approval, acceptance, anxiety. The affirmation piece can be found in what are you called to do here?
Yeah.
Like and I'll make it very practical. What I believe I'm here to do is to partner, help the next generation live in their creative space and make it a better place. That's what I believe I'm here to do. That's it.
And it's consistent.
And it's consistent.
It's consistent.
And I was actually explaining this to one of the young men that I've been mentoring. I said, I went through the years in development in the military. I said, the reason why I joined the military in the first place is because I wanted to serve.
Yeah.
And yes, it took me 12 years to really get it. And I was like, yeah, I'm here to serve. 12 years later, I'm like, holy smokes. That's all I'm called to do is to serve. And then I realized, wait, there's a huge gap here with the next generation of leaders.
Yeah.
When I say a huge gap, I'm like, I've sensed some of these problems these kids are feeling. Yeah. I know what it's like to be neglected. I know what it's like to not have that mentorship, that leadership. So I'm like, I think that's it. So I kept like exposing myself to it. The law of exposure. The more you're exposed to it, the more it will reveal to you what you're supposed to be doing. So I would even say in a practical note, when it comes to disease to please, when you realize you've exposed this thing in yourself, you got to ask yourself, what areas of my life do I need to affirm?
Exactly.
What areas of a life do I need to approval? What do I need to approve of? And really think about it. When you have your funeral and you could see this from like a third party, what are they saying about you?
What do you want being said about you?
What do you want them to say about you?